Hi, my name is Barry Zwarenstein and I'm the author of my new book, Which Way is Your Claymore Facing? An operational manual for veterans adjusting to civilian life. Today I just wanted to talk a little bit about the journey that brought me eventually to this book, and just to let you know, it's arrived. I feel like I've just given birth. As you can see, it's a little book, 96 pages. The idea for me was that as a man, I know I really tend to struggle with long books. I can't put them in my back pocket. I can't carry them around. I tend to sit and really dwell with them, whereas my goal was to have something which was very concise, and that men and women could actually just drop into and find something that would be of value to them at that particular point in time. It's also got several pages of notes. And the idea behind this was that you could really create ownership of the book by, as you're reading, you can make notes, things that come to mind, some of the things I raise, things you want to question, and also things you may want to bring to my attention and message me using the various means available on my website. Anyway, the book and how it all began, I often say to my wife that when I look back on my past, at the various points in time, I had no clue how everything was going to actually glue together. I'd finished school and I can't say I was a great student, more involved in sport than anything else, much to the despair of my parents, who threw me into every single available extra lesson without figuring that perhaps maybe there were a couple of things getting in the way of my learning. Anyway, so it was suggested to me that I go to university and become a teacher. So I spent 3 years doing a degree in English and sociology, struggling, and then did a postgraduate diploma to become a high school English teacher. Finished the 4 years and realized that there was not a chance in hell I was ever going to walk into a high school. So there were 4 years that appeared to be quite lost. After those 4 years, I went back, as you can see in the book, I went back to Rhodesia to comply with my national service requirements and was in the Rhodesian Bush War, and then came out and became a specialist teacher in the remediation and diagnosis of speech and hearing defects. Did that for 2 years and went, nah, this is not going to work. So eventually meandered my way through England, where I did a qualification in becoming a second language teacher, and ended up trying to mountain bike to Israel from England, with no maps, no shoes on, everything piled high with a guitar on top, totally insane. Didn't do it, went on a flight, flew there, and taught English for the British Council. I was one of the founder members of the British Council, English Language Centre. Eventually, I got to a point where I realized that education and standing in front of a class and teaching was simply not for me. So I had a dream of actually becoming, to doing a specialization in natural remedies, homeopathy, etc., but far too expensive and my bank balance wouldn't allow that. So I meandered back to my old university village in South Africa, where I started the long, hard slog, and trust me, it was long, of completing my degree in psychology. I had to do psychology 2 and 3 in the first year, and then did an honours afterwards and was accepted into the clinical psychology master's degree. Worked in that in schools in South Africa for a couple of years, then arrived eventually, tail end of a chest infection, then arrived eventually back in Australia, where I heard about the Vietnam Veterans Counselling Services. And it was brought to my attention that they were now looking for external contractors, given the numbers of sons, daughters, and veteran personnel that were coming up and requiring support. So the combination of being a psychologist and being a veteran and also having worked in education all gelled together to bring me to where I am now. So in a way, I'm involved in my two greatest loves, which is I love being in a school and also my passion for working with the Vietnam Veteran Counselling Services. So after a number of years of working with the men, it became apparent that there were Rhodesians from the Bush War all around the world, and that a lot of them were understandably really struggling with the impact of the Bush War on them. And even though even though they were men in their 60s, mid-60s now, a lot of them had very severe PTSD or going through a lot of ups and downs consistent with combat trauma. So a group of us got together and opened up a Facebook group for the Rhodesian population to provide support. And slowly, as my name got around, I ended up doing a lot of work on Skype, on WhatsApp, with men and their families around the world. And this I did pro bono. I wasn't going to charge for this, as this was something close to my heart. But eventually I realized that there was just simply a limited number of people that I could get to. And the idea was, what could I do to provide some sort of resource to veterans, Rhodesian veterans, that could help them should I not be available. So the idea of the book came up, and of course I sat down, I started writing, I was writing things for the Facebook group. And time again, I sat down to write the book and went, nah, this is just too difficult. My hours were too long between my work with the veterans and my school, and I chucked it. And this happened a couple of times over a few years. And eventually in December last year, I don't know what happened, it was just a realization that I could actually make this happen, that the book did not have to be an inch or two thick, that it could be a really tight book, using the tools that I have used with veterans over years, and combining the language of the book, as I said previously, with operational and military terms that would help veterans to make sense. So head down, bum up in December, finished it, created a rough manuscript, spoke to Amazon and discovered they had a publishing organization called Create Space, which is just about to close. So I got in through the doorway, just squeaked in, and eventually the proof arrived a few weeks ago. I mean, I'm thrilled. The reviews at the moment seem to be quite good, but like any new baby, when one gives birth to it, you pray that everybody finds it good looking and not as ugly as hell. So I'm still waiting. So if any of you have read my book and have something kind to say or constructive, please feel free to give me a shout on my website. So that's the story. I hope that you tap into the website. There's lots of great tools in there. As I've said before, there's the YouTube channel, which this video is going to be a part of, which I'm slowly developing. If there are things that you'd like me to address, I'm happy to do video clips or write blogs on that. So as you see on my website, you can leave me a voice message, you can leave me an email. There's lots of ways to communicate with me, and I'd love to hear from you and also tailor-make some of what I'm doing to meet your needs out there. So until we talk again, may you have a good day, take care of yourselves, and I'll be speaking to you soon. Cheers.